Sir,
Huh?
yeah, I wanted to say that you're here to mark some of us assignments from last week. Hello?
The presentation, so it takes some time to do that. So I will finish that up. So once it's
Okay.
updated, I will complete that.
Okay. All right. All right.
All right.
Thank you,
So
sir.
you're welcome. Let's jump right into the agenda for today. See, let me share my screen. Mm. The class is really getting smaller. I don't know why. Hmm. Maybe after this class, we'll do what is it called evangelism to reach out to, because I don't understand. I think some, especially the males, told me about their tight schedules this period, but let's see. I would reach out to everyone again to know how it's called follow up. Okay, I think I would follow up. So I think well, can you guys hear me? Okay. So now we're done with the first part of the course, which is the introductory part and the basic aspect of it, both for product and project. And now we're in the phase two, because the entire curriculum is divided into three, where you have the basic, you're moving into the intermediary, and the professional, where you now start making your proper presentations and documentations of what you've learned so far. So now we're in the stage two, where we'll discuss more about the project aspect, project management aspect of what we've been learning. And for the product ideas, I believe so far from week one to this point, we've been able to develop a certain level of product product ideology, product ensure that that problem aligns with what the users actually are saying. If the problem actually aligns with the user's problem, if it aligns with what the users want. So that's all what we've been doing right from talking about the initial phase, which is the ideation phase, and we're now moving into Can everyone hear me? Okay, I don't know. It seems the internet is having some, my internet is having some kind of issues today. I hope it doesn't affect us today so badly. So let's jump right into what we have for today. So who can tell me, what do you understand by the term product discovery? What does that term mean? You can just signify then speak. The term product discovery, what does that mean? Hmm? What does product discovery mean? Have any of us heard about the terminology called product discovery before now? Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. I'll take that as a no. So let's dive into what we have for today. Today we'll be talking about product discovery and introduction to product discovery, how to understand users' need before building. And our objective for today's understand what product discovery is and why it matters, differentiate between product discovery and delivery, product delivery, identify the core steps and techniques used in product discovery, apply discovery principles using real world examples such as OPE, then recognize common mistakes and how to avoid them. So these are what we'll be looking at today. And okay, Esther, you raise up your hand.
Yeah, so sorry to start you, sir. Yeah, so I think you like using OPE. Are you the PM for OPE, sir?
Okay. Let's leave that aside. So I don't want to say some things behind this. So let's just use OPE. Let's say I'm their favorite customer and I feel satisfied by their services. So this is something I use on a daily basis, and my most used product, and something everyone can easily relate with. And the fact that we've started with it makes me want to keep that whole structure going. So don't worry if you see me as a PM in OPE. Don't that doesn't mean, if you like bypass things, I will kick you out. You don't want to, you don't like using OPE now, so why are you bothered? So today we'll be looking at what product discovery means. And so product discovery is simply a process of understanding or identifying the right problem to solve for the right users. That is, you understanding the process of building what and for whom and why that product. Now, do you guys, can you hear me? Okay. So I repeat, product discovery is it's a process of identifying the right problem to solve for the right users, the right problem to solve for the right users before investing in building a solution. So it all boils down to what we've been talking about from week um, 3 to now. So now this is more like you having a summary of everything we've been talking about from the week 3 and all the process. So you being able to understand what to build, whom are you building that product, and why are you building it is what product discovery is all about. And this part helps you focus on understanding the users, their pain point, like I would always say. Understand the user's pain point. Why are they experiencing this problem? What are the behaviors of these users when experiencing this problem? What are their needs? Understanding your users' needs and not just validating your idea. Not just talking about you having a great idea or this solution would mean so much and this and all that. It's those doesn't count if the user's pain points are not being, if that solution does not address the user's pain points. So first, it all begins with you understanding, you identifying and understanding your user's pain points before you talk about investing into building the solution. Now, what does product discovery focus on? It focuses on solving the right problem before building anything. So if we've been talking about you identifying problems for quite some time, it tells you that there's a whole lot that goes into problem identification and understanding the users, identifying the users for that particular problem. It's not just something you just cook up once. It takes a gradual process for you to understand who are actually experiencing this problem. Why are they experiencing this problem? What is the problem in the first place before you start talking about who are experiencing this problem? Your ability to identify these users, identify what their problems are, and you being able to think outside the box, how this problem affects their behavior towards making decision. It's what product discovery is all about. And just like Teresa Torres once said, product discovery is not about validating your idea. Your idea is always superb, it's always fantastic. But what product discovery does not do, it doesn't validate your idea. It helps you know about uncovering the right problem. So you could be providing a good solution for the wrong problem, and that product will fail. Your solution could be very superb and fantastic, but it's not actually targeted at solving the right problem. That solution will be counted as pointless. So the first thing is for you to understand the problem, who are experiencing this problem, how does this problem affect their behavior, how does this problem affect their power to make decisions. You being able to understand this would help you shape what kind of solution you're going to provide to these users. When you understand the problem before you can now talk about the solution. And just like you're talking about you trying to, let's say you're a chef and you have a guest and you just cook, making some meals for your guests, and you can't just if you don't understand what kind of type of guests you are having, are they vegetarians, are they non-vegetarians? And let's say, for example, you have a full guest of vegetarians and you prepare a meal for non-vegetarians. You've prepared a very nice meal and all that, but due to the fact that you do not understand your guests, that solution that meal which you've actually prepared would not be accepted by the your guest, because you've prepared a meal which doesn't fit well, which doesn't solve the problem of your guest. So that solution, regardless of what solution or how unique the solution is, it should be targeted at what? Solving and meeting the needs of the users. That is what product discovery is all about. And you might be wondering, why are we talking about product discovery? Why does it matter? It matters because it helps you avoid wasting your time. It helps you avoid wasting time, energy, resources. Just like you in the kitchen, the hours you spend trying to cook some certain meals together and all that, and you end up serving it to your users, and they all tell you, I don't eat this meal, I don't eat this, I don't eat this, I'm not this kind of person. You feel sad because you know how much effort you put into this thing to prepare this particular meal, and you ended up getting a turn down from your users, where you expect, maybe you're trying out a new recipe and you're expecting your guests to be very amazed at what you've actually served them, and they tell you that, oh, I don't like this. You'll feel very heartbroken, because when you consider the amount of energy it took you to go to the market to get those ingredients in place, and the time it took you to start preparing this thing, only for you to now get everything all set and dish it out to your guests, and they said they are not interested. So it's what product, that scenario actually helps you understand what product discovery is. You understanding your guests, what type of guests are you having, before you now start talking about what kind of meal will you serve your guests. So, you know, if you're having vegetarians as your guests, you need to prepare meals that support their system. If you have non-vegetarians, you need to prepare meals that they also find interesting. Because if you have non-vegetarians and you are offering me lettuce leaf and all that, I will just be looking at you like, what is happening to turkey? Why are you giving me leaf? And why are you giving me all this? So I won't, even though you garnish the whole thing and everything, if there are no proteins there, to me, I'll look at, oh, it's nice, but I'm not interested, because what you actually serve doesn't align, doesn't solve my problem, which is hunger at that point. So I would hope for something else, and you end up feeling disappointed. So product discovery helps you avoid waste. It also helps you build users' empathy, understanding how your users feel. It helps you connect with real users' problem and their motivation, to understand that, oh, why are these users feeling this way? Why are they behaving this way? Your product discovery, understanding what the problem are, what your users are saying, and what the behaviors actually is, would help you build this connection with your users. So as a product manager, you are closer to the users than every other person. You speak for the users, because what you're building, you are actually building a product, not for yourself, but for your users. Now, let's say, for example, there was a time Google launched the Google Glass. Who knows about that? I think there was a particular period where Google launched Google Glass. Who followed up on that update, Google Glass? And what that glass actually did was, okay, if you connect the glass to your smartphone, I think that was some years back, yeah. If you connect the glass to your smartphone using Bluetooth or something, when someone texts you, you can be reading the text on the glass. Yeah, you have the message pop up on the glass, just like you making use of recommended glasses. So you have the message pop up, and the messages will just keep scrolling down, and you could read through, and no one would know what you're actually doing. So when Google launched that, at a particular point, that particular product was not adopted by users. And when they launched that, that product actually died down because users did not adopt it. So, and recently, they are now looking into understanding why users did not adopt the first prototype that came out years back, and trying to do the same thing again so that it meets the needs of the users. Now, they're actually working on why it didn't work at first. So you see that product failure does not respect anybody. Product success or failure does not respect anybody. If you avoid doing your due diligence, understanding what your users want, and you ship out a solution that does not meet the needs of the users would not regard that. So if as big as Google is, as a company, can ship out a product and users did not adopt that product, and that product actually died, they didn't even get as understanding the large market which Google is actually controlling. And they felt, oh, because we have the numbers, if we ship any product, users would adopt it. And they did that, went ahead with the Google Glass. Understanding, then users started asking, why do we even need this? Why do I need to have text scrolling down my lens? Why can't I just read these things from using my normal lenses? And why do I even need this? And users find so that's not interesting. They found it more like infringement of their privacy, and they didn't adopt that, and that product failed. So this is what if they had done a proper discovery about the product to understand the users and what type of users would actually adopt this solution, I think they would have channeled the solution to meet the needs of those specific sets of users, and that product wouldn't have failed. Now, product discovery as well also helps you lead to better solution. You know, it helps you drive product success. Solutions that are more targeted and impactful to your users. If you carry out a proper product discovery process, you end up building a solution that meets the needs of your users, and it's impactful in the life of your users. And it also helps you align your team focus. Now, it keeps everyone in your team focused on solving the same problem, the same validated problem. So everyone doesn't have to start solving different things. Maybe the dev team are solving this, the marketers are saying this, the product designers are saying this. So all this diversion among the team could be addressed when everyone knows exactly this is what we want to achieve. These are the set of people we are offering this solution to. This is what these people are talking about. This is their pain point. This is what the way they behave when they experience this problem. And this is what we need to do to help them solve this problem. When everyone has this clarity, everyone would have this, okay, this is what we want to do. This is where we are supposed to go. This is when we get this done. This is where we keep everyone informed, and everyone now moves with a particular one, with the same focus as a team. So when you have your team moving with a single focus, you tend to achieve a better and impactful result collectively as a team. So now, what's the difference between product discovery and product delivery? Both terms are different. Now, when you talk about discovery, this is the aspect that deals with understanding the problem, while the delivery talks about building the solution. Now you're delivering the solution to your users after understanding the problem. Now, another aspect of the discovery section is it involves you carrying out research and testing. You test you test the problem, you test your MVP, you test the idea which are existing. But for product delivery, it's all about development, building the solution, and releasing the solution to the marketplace. Now, in discovery, there's this uncertainty, and it's a stage where you are not sure about the problem. You're not sure about the users experiencing this problem. You're not sure about the way these users behave when they encounter such problem. So this aspect is more of a learning curve where you focus on learning more of the uncertainty of your users. But when you're talking about the delivery, you are clear. It's a clear path, and it deals with execution because you know what you identify the solution, and you know what the solution should look like, and you are heading straight towards what developing it and executing. So in as much as both points are product discovery and delivery are distinct, but the discovery comes before the delivery, but both are equally important in building product success. So you can't have one without the other. You can have a good discovery. If you're not able to have a good delivery, that product will die in your head. To die in the ideation phase, in the research phase, in the initiation phase. So you need to transition that product from the initiation phase of the project life cycle to the launch phase, which is the execution and the delivery phase. And this thing, you can't move from the initiation phase to the launch phase if you don't understand the problem in order for you to know what structure of solution you want to develop and manage with your team in order to meet the needs of these users experiencing the problem. So both comes in hand, and they are very important in both as a product manager or as a project manager, because it helps you move through from the initial phase of the project life cycle to the launch phase of the project life cycle. Now, what are the key steps in product discovery? Now, the first steps, since it's all about you understanding the problem, the first step is you doing what? Problem identification. So all these which we're talking about here are things we've actually talked about in different sections. So now this is more like you having everything encapsulated and being put in the proper structure. We've talked about problem identification. We've talked about market research. We've talked about user persona. We've talked about solution ideation. So we're at the point where tomorrow would be MVP and all that. So you see, all what we've been doing from week 2 to now is actually each steps of the product discovery phase that we've been going through one after the other. When you talk about identifying problem, which we actually addressed, we looked at that, whereby you carried out your research to look around what problems. Some of you identified problem involving cosmetics, not being able to have a cosmetics that fits your skin. While some as well worked on identify problem like having the onboarding commuting issues, or having issues on knowing when the next bus is going to arrive at the terminal and all that. Those things are problem identification. And you moved into the market research to understand what is the market like. Who are the users of this? Who are the competitors in this market? What are the existing solutions in this market? How are the competitors there actually solving this thing? Are they directly solving it? Are they indirectly solving it? Or are they solving it with other means? And we have where you talked about buses, maybe logistics and all that. So all this actually moves from, with all what you've done. Now, if you're going through this product phase, you now follow up with, now when you as a product manager, when you been handed over your stock, you identify the problem. When you identify the problem, using the frameworks, the why frameworks, how might we, and stuffs like that, the 5 whys framework. We keep asking questions to know what's the core pain points behind the problem. Using all those frameworks helps you identify this problem. Using the putting it in problem statement to understand this is the problem which these users are facing. These are the goals. These are what they want to achieve. The problem statement, the JTBDs, and all that helps you identify this the user's problem. Then once you have that phase done, you then move into the market, understanding what is there a market, what is the size of users experiencing this problem, what's the market size, okay, what are the competitors actually doing, what are they doing now, how are they solving this problem, are they directly solving this problem, or are they indirectly solving this problem? What are the loopholes towards the solution which they are currently offering? Okay, just say, let's say for example now, let me just use OP, which is my favorite go-to product. In the product phase now, OP, let's say OP pain points. Well, what pain points are we solving? Like cash transaction in Nigeria are slow, risky, and inconvenient. That's the problem which they identified. So they carried out their research and asked the question, who has this problem and how widespread is this problem? What is the size of this problem? What's the market size of this problem? And they figured out that 80% of Lagos traders struggle with cash handling and ATM queues. And before now, you have tons of users. When you want to go to the ATM, it's always hectic for you to withdraw cash, for you to deposit. It's always an hectic process. That was a problem which they identified. And in terms of the market which they've done, they looked at 80% of the Lagos market, Lagos traders in Lagos State struggle with cash handling and ATM queues. That was the market research after amongst every other thing they did. Then they moved on to identifying, going down to their users research, the personas, which is what we did recently, where you're able to, that is based on the last assignment, your user research and the personas, you're being able to make an imaginary representation of a user, your ideal user, based on the data you got from your research. Based on the data you got from your research, which could be your survey, your qualitative or quantitative research. Based on the data you got, you now present the research, we make use of it, point that in persona. So look, who are we building for? This solution, who are we building this thing for? And they identified few persons, say, let's say Mama Nkechi, a market trader who wants fast, secure payment. And Emeka, a student who hates ATM queues. And I could remember back then in school, going to the ATM, I think, yeah, then we had just one ATM in school. And you'll find every student going to that ATM to withdraw money. Maybe when you want to buy textbooks or you want to buy handouts and all that. You have students, you wake up very early in the morning, as early as 5, rushing down to the ATM. And along the line, they get robbed, they get harassed. A lot of things could happen to such students. And when you decide to wait, when it's 7 a.m. or so, when you get to the ATM, you have the queue so long and you get frustrated. So all these are the users' personas which they identified. Some are the traders, some are the students, some are just regular persons. But the key two main persons they looked at identifying are this. So now, what is the solution idea? What idea or what's the proposed solution which they looked at? And they're asking, how might we solve these problems for these users we've been able to identify? For these our user personas, how might we solve this problem? And they looked at, okay, for the persona one, we could have the mobile wallet or USSD code payment, where they can receive money and also do receive money and transfer money instantly. And they also include okay, airtime and data top-ups. Students who would like to make purchase of airtime and also receive money and as well withdraw money. So you see the flow of which these things are going. You then know that, oh, when you have this, it flows at this level. This helps you understand if you can take this the product or the solution you're looking towards solving through this process. It helps you understand the nature of the solution you will be providing. Since you've gotten an in-depth understanding of the problem, of the users experiencing that problem, and the behavior of the users when they encounter the problem. And move down to the MVP, like what prototype are you going to ship out to test? And what's the validation? How are users accepting the prototype you've shipped out? Are they do they approve of it? Do they adopt it? Or are they satisfied by your the sample you've actually shipped out, or are they dissatisfied? This is where you tend to now validate the solution which you've shipped out to your users. So in this section, OPE will look like, okay, will users actually use this solution which we've developed? Now they are done with the development. They want to now ship it out. Will they use it? What is the MVP? What are we going to launch first? What's the key thing? Well, let's launch the basic money transfer feature first to test the user's adoption. Now they now look at, okay, the key thing here is easy, fast transfer and fast you transferring and receiving payments fast. That's the first feature which they shipped out, and they put that out in the market, and they got the users adoption. When users make use of OPE to make transfer, they receive it instantly and they're like, wow, what? I got it immediately. And this one said, I've sent it. This one is saying, I've received it. They are satisfied. And you find these users feeling satisfied, and they adopt that solution which you've given to them. And they do what? They tell their friends about it. And you see the adoption begins to grow. And when that solution is being adopted by users, you find out that, yes, this solution which offered is actually meeting the needs of these users. And you can now start shipping in other features into it, such as the USSD code, such as airtime and data top-up, such as electricity bill, such as water bill and other things, utility bills to pay. All those are other external features. If they came into the market with, say, data and airtime top-up and data top-up, they might not, even though they placed the fast, this instant receiving and sending of money feature last, they might not have before they even get to that feature, the users would not even adopt that. So you need to understand what the key problem of these users are for you to understand what MVP will you be shipping out to your users for testing. I was in a meeting earlier today before this class. I had an international meeting with some folks in India, and we're currently working on a project. Let's say a flood detector project, and it's quite a robust project there. And they were like, oh, let's ship this, let's do this, let's do that, we'll need to do this, let's launch and all that. And I was like, in the meeting, I called their attention, what is the key feature do we want to ship out here? It's not about shipping all the features out. Yes, we could have so many AR, VR mode and this and that, all the features, very wonderful. But you can't ship out all features at the same time. You're going to go to the market with one or two features, which are your MVP, you're going to use to test the market to know if users will even will actually use your product or would even adopt it. And after asking that question, what's our MVP? So if we know what the MVP is, we can have that communicated with our designers, These are the things we want to achieve with this solution. But this is what we want to launch, start up with first. You communicate that to the developer. This is the broader scope of this solution, but this is what we aim to go to the market with first. So this would help you stay focused. You no longer look into every other complexities, or you filter the noise out and you focus on that MVP which you want to ship out first. And for such products would be giving signals to flood-prone residential users. Oh, within this period to this period, we are going to experience flood, and they get this awareness and they move from one place, from a flood-prone area to a safe zone. That could be the MVP. And we just looked at how do we get this particular solution fixed out and developed and shipped out to users to test. That's what all these are what the product discovery helps you to understand and guides you through. Because if you don't understand this, you would eventually end up building a solution that the users would not adopt. And when you do that, you're going to fail. You're going to fail in the long run. So you being able to understand, take the problem before you jump into solving a problem, you need to go through this process. Your problem identification, market research, users research, and persona solution ideation before you get to MVP. Because this part is where you've already built the solution. If you've been able to do all this down to stage 4, you start developing your solution and you start working on your MVP. You ship out your MVP. When you test that, that is your light testing. You validate how your users are reacting to what you've actually given to them. So this process is the process you go through when you're trying to build a solution. These are the process, and all this process is what we define as what? Product discovery. So like I said in the case study of OPay, the problem identification. Okay, Esther.
Yeah, so sorry, sir, please. I'm not sure I understand the solution ideation part.
Okay, what don't you understand about it?
Okay. What it means actually, what it means. Yes, we know we've done the user research and personas. Like now, is it based on the user research we know the best solution or the best feature to ship out, or that's the area I don't understand.
Okay, the solution is based on your research. Your research helps you to understand what the users are actually saying, what is their key pain points. And when you're able to identify what the key pain point is, then you propose a solution. You know, all problems do not come at the same level. There are some that come at a pressing level. So you're able to identify those pressing needs of the users, and you think through, okay, since we are having issues with our users, we have more users having issues with receiving and sending money instantly. They also have issues like recharge, topping up airtime recharge, and they also have issues like paying their utility bills. All these are problems of which the users are facing. Some also have issues like saving some amount of money. All these are problems which the users are facing. But the research will help you understand which is the pressing problem of the users, the key problem of the users. And you find out that you have most of them based on your target research, which are traders. And what are their, I'm just using this, traders which they send money and receive money. Traders are not more focused on, mostly focused on recharging or airtime. It's a problem, but it's not their pressing problem. What they are more pressed on is, okay, when I have a customer purchase some items from me and they send money to me, I want to receive it instantly. And when I want to purchase something, I want to send it to the receiver instantly, and they receive it instantly. That is the key problem. So they have to devise a solution around that problem that will tackle that problem. which involve them doing their validating the solution. Ideation, when you ideate the solution, that is your proposed solution, you validate that if that would actually solve the problem. And they came up with, oh, now why don't you build a solution that enables our users to send and receive money instantly? That's what the solution ideation is all about. When you've identified the problem, from the problem, we can now devise what solution you can propose to tackle that problem. Because you cannot just assume a solution when you don't know the problem. It's easier for you to propose a solution when you understand the problem. Are you getting me? So in that case, when we talk about identified cash transaction problems in Nigeria, that's the problem identification and the market insight. 80% traders faced cash issues. That's the market research which they carried out. And they also created the persona Mama Nkechi and Emeka, which are the trader and the students as well. What solution did they propose? Oh, we could have a wallet and we could have a mobile wallet, USSD, all these solutions and all that are solutions that would solve various problems. But first, what did they start with? They shipped out the mobile wallet where you can receive money and send money instantly. So if you're receiving money to the OPay, you need to have a wallet. If you are sending money to the receiver also needs to have a wallet. So, or you have an account. So if you want to receive money, you need to have your OPay account, whether the person is sending from their traditional bank to your OPay account, you need your OPay wallet. So they looked at, okay, since they are going to send and receive money, where does this money stay? Where do they deposit this money? Because you can't have OPay being you want to send money and you're receiving it in somewhere else. So they had to now create a what? A mobile wallet where when you are receiving money from your customers, it reflects into your OPay wallet. And you can now send the money from your wallet to your other traditional banks. So that was the MVP they came out with, the proposed solution towards solving the issue with instant transfer, receiving and sending of money. Are you getting me? So regarding the issue of data, topping up data, not having to scratch airtime and all these things, then previously we had all these recharge cards. Where are recharge cards now? It's almost going extinct because you have more users now buying airtime from their banks. And before now, all these traditional bank apps do not support airtime purchase. When all these mobile online banking like OPay, Kuda, which support other online mobile purchase and airtime purchase. And this solution, your traditional banks now saw, wow, this thing is actually making these users now deviate from making use of our solution towards this. And they now started incorporating these other features like your airtime purchase, utility bills, and all that. Even now, they now include payment of WAEC, registration of WAEC. Now, I think, was it GTB that I think involved, or is it Kuda that involved RRR code for students who wants to pay their school fees in the universities and all that. So you see, all these features are solutions to problems, but they are not the key problem which they came to the market with. If they are started off with this, they might fail, and they might have not gained this attraction which they have now. So if you being able to understand what is the pressing need and the percentage at which you have your users experiencing this problem will determine the nature of the solution. Because when you have a solution, a problem where you have a higher percentage of users experiencing that problem, it is logical for you to tackle that large problem, with a larger percentage, rather than you saying, okay, you have 80% of traders experiencing cash issues, 80%, and you have 5% experiencing airtime issues, and you want to start solving airtime problem. You might bring that airtime solution, you meet that 5%, and the remaining percentage, the large number of users would not adopt that. That product will fail. So when you meet the needs of the larger audience, which are facing which the problem they are facing is in larger percentage, and you are able to address their problem, you go to the market with that MVP that solves that problem and at the comfort and convenience of your users without having them go through hoops towards getting that solution done, towards getting that problem solved. When your users feel comfortable solving that problem from without stress, they will find that solution, they will easily adopt that solution. So it's you've been in this shoe, I've been in this shoe. There are products which we've been making use of, and when the user experience of that product was just seamless, and you find yourself continuously using that product, you will not want to deviate because, oh, this product is actually giving me what I want. What is the need of me looking elsewhere? Unless they start deviating from what they are giving to me, and I will look elsewhere. I remember myself as a case study. I started off with Kuda. When I started this online banking, it was Kuda I knew. Then when I was using Kuda, it was giving me what I want. Then I started noticing some kind of changes, and I decided to deviate to OPay. Any day OPay now decides to start misbehaving, I will switch to something else. So it's not just me, it's the way we all behave. So when you are building a solution, you need to build a solution with the user in mind and being able to retain your users. It's not that when you get one of these things which we do in Nigeria here, when we bring quality into the market and we have users trooping into that, after some certain period of time, maybe a few months, when they've gained users attention, you now find this product, they start reducing the quality. I don't know, that's a very bad market strategy. That's a very, it's a bad market strategy. And you have so many products using that strategy. When you go to the market with quality, let's say, for example, we have, let me use tin tomatoes. Yes, all this tomato paste to use in preparing stew and all that. You find some products will come to the market today, and they are very, when you use that product, very red, it will give you the thickness you want, it will give you the taste you want, it will give you that tomato feeling, as if you're using a fresh tomato to prepare your stew. Then after users, when you start using that product, let's say 2, 3, 4 times, you find out that the solution that was giving you that red vibes is actually now giving you light red. Instead of it being thick, it's now looking light. And a typical example is Sonia. I don't know, but when Sonia first of all came into the market, it was talk of the town. It actually dealt with Gino and Tasty Tom. And people were using Sonia. Anything you vote for events, you have them Sonia, Sonia, Sonia. But it now got to a point in time, Sonia was now becoming very light. It's now like transparent red. It was no longer thick. You know that maybe you want to prepare a certain portion of stew, you have to use multiple quantities of Sonia products before you can get, and you need to now start adding extra atta rodo, or what do they call it, attache or something like that, to make the stew thicken, or you now start buying. It now becomes expensive using that particular Sonia product to prepare stew. So what do you now find users doing? They now start dropping it. Users will, these people are fake, so they will leave it. And one thing, it's very difficult to, it's easy for you to get users on board, but when you lose those users, it's very difficult for you to get them back because they've lost trust for your solution. It's very easy for you to get users to onboard on your solution, but you need to make sure that that thing you got them built to your solution, you don't take that thing away, which is what Coca-Cola is actually doing. That recipe, they've maintained that recipe. Sorry, even though the taste is quite different from country to country. The quality of Coca-Cola in the US is different from the quality of Coca-Cola in Nigeria. And it's also different from the quality of Coca-Cola in South Africa. It depends on the country, on the company. So they know that here in Nigeria, how do they call it? They call it Eru. These ones, just give them anything. So they have to now dilute the chemical more with larger amount of water. These people give them anything, they will still take it. And they call Nigeria Gbogbo Ero. So, but in US, you can't give them that quality. They will sue you. If you have a taste of Coca-Cola from the US or abroad, or UK, anywhere, and you compare that to that of one we are drinking in Nigeria, I bet you will say, so you've been drinking rubbish. Because yeah, when it gets to this place, it's more like they ship the chemical. They ship the already. It's like you having this poppy juice, this poppy blackcurrant juice. I think in a bigger bottle. It's very sweet. It's not it has not been diluted. Then when you buy the raw chemical, you now start diluting it. But when they come to Nigeria, they know that it's mass production. They will not pour, instead of them using 10 gallons of water, they might use 15 to still have the taste. But we won't know. How many of us have tested Coca-Cola from the western parts? No, so how would you know? You won't know. So, but when you are drinking it, they still maintain that quality and the taste does not change. They still maintain that taste and the quality. To we Nigerians, we feel we're getting the quality. There was a time when it became very light, and you find users complaining that why is this thing very light? You find out that they've poured excess water. So you'll now be looking at what is the essence of me taking the non-regular Coke and zero Coke? Nothing. So these are the things. So going to the market with thinking that when you get to the market, you will go with quality after a certain period of time. When you gain users adoption, you will now reduce the quality. The same way you are reducing the quality is the same way you are going to lose your users. And once you lose your users, you will not get them back again. Because once they are leaving, they are hopping into something else, another solution that will meet their needs. And then you now start struggling with getting one or two users to continue using. You now start doing a lot of advertisement. You now start talking so many. You start doing a lot of things. You start having users now dancing here and there in various markets, or you reduce your price and say, oh, you should buy this thing, buy 10 carton, get one free. You start implementing a lot of strategies just to let your product still be in the market. But this is something you would have avoided if you had maintained the quality that you came to the market with. So in order for you to do this, you need to also understand a lot of things behind going to market, go to market strategy. What's the pricing you would take this product to the market that would end, that you would not be at the loss in the long run. So you don't end up after a certain period of time reducing your price or increasing your price. Stuff like that would help users to run away from the solution which you want to provide. So all these scenarios which I've actually illustrated are real scenarios which we all have had one or two experiences of. And we've been able to relate with these experiences. So this is the reason why this particular solution actually died off. This is the reason why this thing is actually like this. So when you have product management, or product management is something that is you having this experience of real life experience around you. Anything you do, you see yourself as a user of a particular solution. You think, oh, what did these people have to go through before they came up with this solution? Why did they come up with this solution? Why not something else? Why did they ship this particular feature first? Understanding all this would help you understand the nature of way to ship your own solution, the process which you will drive your solution from ideation to launch, when you're also in charge of handling a product. Which is why I think that was the second week, I said you guys should, was it second? Yes, second week, I said you should make research and understanding of an existing solution you make use of daily. So you understand, how do these people do this thing? You get this clarity, how are they doing it their way? Why are they doing this thing this way? When you understand why existing solutions are doing what they are doing, it will give you insight onto how can you also do yours? You just add a little tweak. So are you getting what I'm saying? Is it clear? So regarding that, we now look at this OpenApp validating the solution of mobile wallets after going through all this research and other solutions which they've listed. They now found, oh, mobile wallet comes in more. Say they could have made use of the RISE framework, impact versus effort, which one have the highest impact in order to choose which solution to ship out to users. And making use of the Kano framework or the RISE framework or Moscow framework, all these are project management frameworks that helps you understand a whole lot of things and what kind of solution, the impact of your solution. When you're making comparison of impact to effort, you make use of the RISE framework to understand which solution, which feature would be more impactful to your users, that will give you the most impact and the highest effort. That should be your MVP. That should be your MVP. So you see, product management or project management, as a product manager, you make use of project management terms to also guide yourself in making product decisions. Whereas we know that the project managers are more concerned about just, let me help you get this thing done. Tell me what I need to do. This is what I need to do, right? All right. What are the resources that are available for me to make use of? You list out the resources that are available. They look at, okay, I'm going to manage this. The lifespan for this project is 3 months. Okay, what do we need to do in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter? What and what do, then we look at how many teams do we have there? What are the resources? Do we have ebook? Do we have users? Do we have team? How many teams do we have in design? How many teams do we have in development, front end, back end, and stuff like that? They look at all this. Who are the stakeholders? Who are the key stakeholders here? Who are the least impactful stakeholders? What stakeholders should we get more informed about what we're doing on a daily basis? Which of these stakeholders are we to give less information to about the progress? You need to now start understanding, how do we set up a sprint? Should our sprint be weekly on a 2 days interval, or should we have our sprints on a daily basis to know the progress of what we're doing through the sprint? Product managers also make use of sprint, but sprint is something, a framework for project managers. So you see, when you're talking about product and project, it's quite intertwined, because this one makes use of these things to get what they need to do done effectively. So you have product management is more like you combining product and project together, understanding the problem, and you add project to it. It gives you product management. But project management is just that section that involves, oh, I just want to get this job done. That is what I'm concerned about. Whatsoever the problem is, how you think about the problem, I'm not concerned about that. I just need to get the job done. And you can't talk about products if you've not actually, your product management skill would not be completed if you don't have the knowledge of project management as well in making product decisions. So all this helps you in one way or the other to give you an informed decision, product decisions, because you don't assume all this. You need to carry out your data, you need to carry out your research to ensure that these things actually aligns with what your users are saying, with what your users are doing, and how they express themselves when they encounter situations. So these are the things you should be looking at. Be you a product manager or a project manager? So looking at this case study, being able to drive your solution from the case 1 down to the last, then you now move into how do you now carry out, what's your product discovery techniques? What's the product discovery techniques, and what activities do you actually carry out? Now, Product discovery is you understanding the user's problem. So you begin by understanding your users interviews, where you talk directly with users to learn about their struggles. Then, then on this, you carry out surveys, you carry out questionnaires in order to understand your users. Then once you're able to understand your users, you then move into the empathy maps. Now, this helps you visualize what your users think, how do they feel, what are they saying, what do they do. Now you're putting on the users you are understanding the problem in terms of the users. This helps you to know exactly what your users are actually saying and what they are doing. If what they are saying and what they are doing actually correlates, if there's a distinction, if there's a difference between what they are doing and what they are saying, you need to be able to find out what is that difference, what is causing that difference, how do you close up that gap to make sure that what they are saying and what they are doing is actually aligned. So if they are saying something else and what they are doing is different, you focus on what are they doing, because that's what's more paramount. They might say A and they are doing B, and you now start following what they are saying. So many words can mislead, but just like the adage, action speaks louder than words. They will tell you I'm doing this, but they are doing something else. Maybe they tell you're trying to build a solution that helps your users stay focused. They tell you I'm very focused. I wake up every day by 6, 7, and this. And you call that person 6 o'clock the next day, 8 o'clock the next day, and they are still sleeping. You say, oh, maybe it's a one-time mistake. And you do that again, they are still sleeping by 9 o'clock. Maybe the person wakes up around 10. So you find out that what this user is saying and what this user is actually doing, they are two different things. So if you want to make judgment on that user, you make judgment on what the user is doing. Because we users, we can say things to just make you feel satisfied. So you should be able to identify when users are giving you compliments and when they are actually saying the truth regarding how they are feeling. So once you're able to understand the user mapping, you also experience the user journey mapping. All these are embedded in the user empathy, in the empathy map, where you track the user's experience and identify the friction points of the users. Then you move down to your surveys, your forms. Your surveys helps you in brainstorming ideas using how might we framework, five whys framework to understand, brainstorm ideas, understanding your users, understanding how you can solve these things effectively to your users. How do you carry out this problem? How do you take this problem which your users are experiencing and help them solve this problem? You start brainstorming ideas. Okay, this is the problem. What solution can we identify now? What proposed solution can we come up with to tackle this problem? You start looking at those things, you'll brainstorm things. And doing that, when you're able to carry out those things, you then move down to your prototype and testing, where then maybe you use your Figma or your paperwork to just make sketch of what the solution would look like, and you test quickly for what it is. Then from that, you now move to the fake dot testing, where you add buttons and functionalities, features that don't exist on the test which user interest. Now, you add some buttons whereby you just test if the user would actually like this or not. Now, you don't know for sure. You don't know what the users, what feature will address, gain the attention of the users. But with all this, when you carry out your due diligence to understand what your users are saying and understand what your users are doing, and being able to draw the cut line that, okay, this is what they are facing, this is how they are doing it, this is how they behave, it would help you reduce your chances of failure when building a product, when building a solution. So product discovery helps you understand all this and helps you limit your chances of failure. We know product will fail. That's true. Every product, every solution is doomed to fail. But you can limit your chances of failure if you carry out your research, if you do your assignments, if you do your primary duties by understanding what your users are saying, what are they doing, what is your user pain point, what are they experiencing, how do they feel when they encounter certain situations. When you are able to see things from the aspect of the users, when you're able to feel your users' pain, you would be able to understand, no, this thing is extreme, this thing needs urgent attention. Why do you feel that way? Because you've now you felt what your users are feeling. If you've not experienced a particular problem, you might not have this clear understanding of what it feels like. But that's why they say experience is the best teacher. But most times I won't advise you to experience things. You learn from other people's experience. That's the best teacher, because you might experience that same thing and you might not survive it. So experience is not always the best teacher. So you learn from other people's experiences, and that way you use that experience to guide your decision making, so that you don't make that mistake. You understand, why did this person fail at this point? What led to this person's failure? In as much as you identify their success, you also need to look at those that led that path and they failed, so that you are not going to repeat that same mistake that they made that led them to fail. So these things are things you need to look into before getting yourself properly informed, before you talk about shipping out solutions to users, or before you now start or talk about developing solutions. So what are the common mistakes to avoid? What are the common mistakes to avoid when carrying out product discovery? Now, like I said, I've been in a system where it's a tech system, a company. What they do, they skip this the research phase. They skip the research. They skip they skip the research, and they just start building. They just move straight down to building solutions. Yeah, I've been in a particular scenario like that, where you just have the CTO, chief technical officer, come to you and say, oh, we want to build this thing. They build product based on assumptions, and 9 times out of 10 that product will fail, because you do not understand if there's a market for that solution, if that market is flooded already with existing solutions. You won't know these things if you don't do your research. And one mistake you avoid is, common mistake most people do is they skip the research phase and they just jump into development. And what will this feature have? Okay, because you woke up one morning and maybe your location, you have to drive some distance to get a particular item to cook or something, and you feel that is a problem, and you feel that's a problem every user within that location is facing. You don't know if some of these users already have an existing solution whereby they have the foodstuff being delivered to their room. They are just there. You don't know if they have a ride where they don't need to start hopping from one bus to another. They just drive straight to the market and they get their stuffs. And because you don't have the ride, you don't have users, you don't have solutions whereby they bring those stuffs to you at your convenience. You feel that everyone within that particular region are experiencing that problem. And you now look at, oh, because you are a developer, this is a problem. We can solve this problem. Why don't we build a solution, an e-commerce solution, whereby people can just come and they purchase items and they will not have to start jumping here and there to get items and all that. And you find out that, yes, you're a technical person, you know what codes to write, you have your designers, you pitch the idea to your designers, they know exactly what to do. All that, they know. They will just, okay, what and what? You call your, okay, what feature should be here? The feature should be this, should be that. And you entirely skip the research phase to know if that market is actually what your users are saying. What if your users are actually talking about not coming online to shop and have, what if they are saying something else? What if they don't even see that as a problem? You now want to build a solution where there is no problem. Nobody will actually accept that solution because you are building a solution where there is no identified problem. So what most people do, they fail. One mistake they make, the first one is always skipping research, and that is why most products fail. And they build based on assumption. When you skip research, you build based on assumption. That's another mistake. And you see, all these mistakes are interrelated. When you are skipping research, you are automatically going to build based on assumption. And when you are building based on assumption, you are automatically going to avoid users' interaction. You are automatically going to avoid the having a conversation with your users to understand their pain points. And one thing you are automatically going to do is you are going to over-confirm your own idea. You are going to over-validate your idea. Instead of you focusing on learning, if these users are actually experiencing this problem, if the solution you are proposing would meet the needs of these users, you will now be validating your idea and you now tell yourself that this solution would meet this need. And one thing about nature is this: when you now start having this validation, nature starts bringing people who would actually complement that your validation. And when you now shift, when you are telling people, I have this idea, this, what do you think about it? They will tell you, yes. This is a good idea. This is a good one. Yes, this is a good one. Yeah. Then you feel because 1-2 persons, your friends or your colleagues, or they've said this is a good idea. I would like to have this. Then you now start developing. Then when you start development and you launch the product, you find that users, you now start struggling to have 10 users use your solution. There you now start complaining what went wrong. After pumping money into adverts, after pumping money into development, paying developers, paying your team and all that, buying your domain name, buying so many things, you now fail. That's what? Wasted money, wasted resources, wasted time and effort. And you wonder, why did you fail? It's that because you've avoided this, you've avoided the steps which you should, key steps that seems irrelevant to you. It seems irrelevant because you're just focused on futures. But as a product manager, you look beyond the future. You understand the problem first before you now start talking about futures. But most developers just focus on futures. They are always and they feel so happy when they are shipping out new features that are doing awesome things. So that's what gives them this adrenaline rush, this sense of satisfaction when they develop a certain feature and that thing is actually mind-blowing. This thing will give you. But to you as a product manager, we as a product manager, we are not based on future. We are based on what would solve the user's problem conveniently. We don't want to stress ourselves and we don't want to stress our users. So order your robust solution would stress our users. We don't want it. Just give us the basic thing that will solve their basic problem. That's all we want. That is what you as a product manager, you start having such conversation. You see things differently from the developers. So when you carry out this whole research, you make this, you not inform them on what sort of solution, what sort of features the solution will have. So when you make these mistakes, where you are skipping your research, you're building solution based on assumption, you're avoiding direct users interaction. Data is good, but conversation reveals the depth of the issues. Talking to a user, having this qualitative research with a user, experiencing that problem will give you in-depth understanding of what the problem is. And over validating your ideas when you make these mistakes, it just takes a matter of time. 9 times out of 10, that product will fail. I'm not saying that product might not succeed, but there is a high tendency of that product failing when you make these mistakes. So in order for you to reduce your risk of failure, you need to do what? Avoid these mistakes. Go through the process of product discovery. So what are the key takeaways from today's class? We've been able to understand that product discovery helps us build the right thing. It helps us build the right solution. It helps us focus on our users' problem, not our ideas. So it helps us understand that product discovery is what? Learning before building. It's a process of learning before building. Now it helps makes your team stay focused on solving the user's problem and ensuring it aligns among your teammates and not your unique idea. Now, it also helps us using research, empathy, and your survey to validate the techniques which you can use to solve your user's problem. And your product discovery is ongoing. It doesn't stop. Product discovery, one thing about this, it's ongoing. It's a repetitive process. You don't stop. When Opay launched the instant transfer and receiving of alert, yeah, when they now want to hop into the airtime, or they had to go through this process again from the beginning to understand if users are actually experiencing this problem. They carry out their research, they validate the research, they prepare their personals, they prepare the user stories and all that. They ship out what feature, the solution ideation phase. They ship out what solution, okay, could solve this problem. And they put out their MVP and they validate from users. So this is a reoccurring process. It's not a one-time thing. Product discovery is a circle that reoccurs. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop at day one. It continues and should evolve with your product. As your product is evolving, your discovery is as well evolving. You won't just go to the market with one unique feature and you stop there. And you feel because you've gained the attraction of your users, you can now start shipping anything. Just like Google Glass. It didn't gain user adoption, it failed. So regardless of you having the market, that doesn't guarantee that you are going to succeed. You need to always repeat this process over and over again before you ship out any feature. So having gone through this, having gone through the whole entire process of you driving a full circle of your product from the ideation phase to the execution of the launch phase, covering up your product life cycle or project life cycle. This whole process, which we've been doing from week 1 to this point, to this week class, today's class, the product discovery helps us understand the entire process and how you should flow when you're when you're understanding your users and trying to propose or build a solution that addresses your users' problem. So, is there any question? Do you understand, or is there areas where you feel you need clarity? Okay, Esther.
Okay, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for today's class. All right. So, yes, I understand perfectly product discovery. Right. So, now my question is this: after we've gone through the process and all that, how do we document everything? The documentation, how does it start? How do we arrange it in the right order for our stakeholders? Like I'm talking about internal stakeholders now. How do we document everything based on the research we have done? That's number one. Then number two is, how long should this product discovery, how long the normal time it should take for us to come up with a product discovery section. Then the last one is for the prototyping, right? Now that prototype, is it that we are going to create like a demo of it, send it out to customers to check before we start building the MVP itself? So I'm not sure I understand that part. That's my question, sir.
Okay, okay. Please hold. Let me see. You said the attendance has not been. Just saw something regarding that. Well, let me. Okay, regarding that. Now there is no fixed timeline as to how long your um the product discovery phase should go. There is no timeline to that. Please give me a moment. Mhm. So the first question, which is how do you document what you've done? So when you get to what is it called? How to write a PRD, there's what we call PRD, which is product requirements documentation. It's a structure of how you document all this. The same way the pattern at which you flow through the discovery, what you've been able to identify, what you now all what you've been doing in your research, the survey, the outcome of the survey, you might not necessarily document all that. If you start including all that in your documentation, the documentation will be very lengthy. But all those research you are carrying out in the background, which are not seen, it's for you to understand the problem which you want to solve. So when you are able to understand the problem, you cannot put that into problem statements. That's your problem identification. You put that into problem statement, which could be 1 or 2 sentences. You've identified the problem properly. Anyone reading through would understand the problem there, which you as well, you've been able to comprehend that. When you identify that, you understand, okay, what is the user story? How do we go about the user story? What's the user persona? What's the users like? Before you now start talking about the future documentation. So we have that product requirement documentation. We'll talk about that. I think that should be in week within this, it's in phase 2. That should be in week 7. No, this is week 7. Should be in week 10. Yeah, in this section. So when we get to that aspect, we'll talk about how do you document all this which you've actually been able to gather, and what would your product feature documentation look like? What would be entailed in the futures which you're going to? There is no unique way which you can do this. It's just a way that is you can easily understand. To me, the way I do mine is actually different from the way others do that. So it's not like you have a fixed, rigid way of doing this thing. You can be flexible with your own. The major thing is the message which what you've documented, let it be easy for others to comprehend. Let it be easy for the readers to understand. And anyone going through it can easily understand what you actually documented. Exactly. So that's the first one. The second one, which is how long, which I talked about, it's independent on anyone. If there's no fixed time, or there's no fixed amount of time you say, oh, this is the number of months or weeks you should carry out your research. Normally, it takes, before the invention of AI, it takes a long period of time to carry out all this research. But with AI, you can now make profound decisions. You can now source through different resources to make your to draw conclusion or to make data informed decisions on what you're carrying your research would look like. So this helps you shorten the time which you are going to spend on writing a whole lot of things. And when you are writing the future, or when you are writing the entire process of what the solution would carry out, when you log in on the platform, you have the onboarding page. When you onboard, what would be on the onboarding page? When you do that, when you fill those details in, you move to the landing page. What would be on the header? What would be on the body? What would be on the footer? Stuff like that. When you start outlining all those things, you drive someone, anyone, the designer looking at it would be able to look through each phase. Okay, this is what should be here, down till when the user decides to log out completely from that particular product. So all this, it's just you understanding what the problem is. And when you understand the problem and understand the solution you want to build, it will help you to know how to structure your solution and the documentation which would be required when solving that problem. So when you hand that over to your design team, once they read through, they will understand this is the user statement, the problem statement, this is the user story, this is what we should do. These are JTBD and stuff like that. They don't need to understand what framework you made use of, the 5 whys, the how might we, to generate your user story or to generate your problem statement. They don't need all that. It's just what's the problem statement. They read, okay, this is the problem we've been able to identify. This is the user story. This is an example of what the user persona looks like, of the user that we are looking at solving this problem, an imaginary user. And you now look at those things, you now look at, okay, since this is the solution, the goals which we want to achieve for this user persona and this, what do we now impute? That will now help you shape the nature of the features that would be required in solving that problem. Okay. Just like the OPay illustration that involved sending money and receiving money, the major feature, what they needed to do, okay, in order to do it, we need the mobile wallet. Now they now have to build their solutions around that mobile wallet feature. That's the future, mobile wallet. So anything they are doing, making their experience very easy and seamless, they now need to also build it around the MVP, which is the mobile wallet. So are you getting me? Who else has another question? Okay, Victoria.
Good evening, Mr. Francis. Thank you for today's class.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
So you mentioned the prototyping, like that's where the landing page, if I got it correctly, that's where the landing page, like everything comes into play, where we get to sketch. From my knowledge so far about from the lessons so far, I believe, isn't that where the wireframing and like user flow, like the roadmap come into play? Isn't that where it comes into play? And isn't that where our knowledge of Figma should be implemented, where we can use in, I think it's FigJam. I don't know if it's Figma or FigJam, where we
Figma.
show a proper,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
where
that's
we
where it's
show a
all
proper,
about you sketching your when you
okay,
get to that prototype, you're sketching what the whole thing would look like. What would the mobile view look like when you're designing? What would with just a sketch? Okay,
okay,
this is the way it would look like when you're doing this, when you are presenting that to your designers and all that. Most times, most times you don't necessarily have to sketch those things. When you make those
okay,
solutions detailed enough for your designers, they will do that sketching. So for you as a product manager that don't know how to sketch, the major thing is you need to understand how these tools are used. You might not necessarily end up sketching.
okay,
So in order for you to avoid those stress, you need to make sure that the nature of the solution is detailed enough for your designers to now carry out their sketches, but they will need to carry out the sketch, the wireframe, and all that before now building the actual solution, making the
okay,
design for the actual solution.
okay. Okay, I get you. But are we going to get like an opportunity to just have like um a view of how it works if it's not so technical, so we'll just be at an advantage in the marketplace
Okay, let's
when
see.
okay,
I will look through the curriculum again if it covers up for that. And if it does, we'll look into that. And if it doesn't, we'll actually look into addressing that. Okay?
okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Esther, you raise up your hand.
Yeah, sorry, sir. I think I saw something like wireframing and prototyping
In the
curriculum. Yes, yes, I saw something like that.
okay. So if since we have that, that means we're going to talk about that. Okay, yeah. In the UX collaboration, user journey mapping, wireframe, and feedbacks. Yeah. So okay. All right. So well, when we get to that stage, we'll now understand how to use most of these tools. Okay. So who else has a question? Who else has a question you would like to ask? Yeah. So any question? Tafilat, Chinenye, Vivian, Joy, Courage. Any question? Adeboyejo, you've been silent. You were not in class last week. Adeboyejo, why?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. What is happening? You've been silent recently.
Nothing. I was not around last Wednesday.
Okay.
Yes.
I believe you are now around fully.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
And you've not marked my assignment too.
Your assignments. And you were not around to do presentation now. Did you present? You didn't? Those that presented, they made the marking very easy for me.
Oh.
So while presenting, I was already grading it, so I would just go straight. So going through the whole assignment and starting to read everyone's assignment one after the other, in order for me to look comments. So you see, it's not because you need to read through what someone is saying.
Yes.
So who else has a question? All right. Okay. Joy, I'm going to look at that. Yeah. All right. All right. I'm going to look at that. Okay. So regarding yeah, Anoluwa 4, is she in this call? She's not in this class. Okay, yeah, she's you're silent too. Is the what's wrong? Is it the August 1st, or what's the issue? Or is it the topic that made you guys cold? Or what exactly is the problem?
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, thank you for today's class. Even though I barely heard anything, my network has been really terrible. It's now that you're asking who else has question, I can hear you clearly. From the beginning of the class when I joined till now, I haven't been hearing you. It's now that you're asking the question, my network became very stable. So I can't ask any question if I didn't really follow through. So I have to do my own reading, and then maybe tomorrow I'll have questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, okay. Who else has something to say regarding what we've done today? Mhm. So first thing first, I believe that confusion about product or project has been resolved, right? I want to understand that. You better close that mouth before fly enters your mouth. Good. So what's there that is not yet clear? Who else is having that confusion about product or project?
So I'm sorry, but in what regards are you asking this? Because I don't understand where the question is coming from.
Oh, so you don't understand where the question is coming from, and we're giving me the loud.
And now that's why I wanted to understand.
Okay. The aspects where you guys are saying, we've not talked about, when are we going to talk about project management? Where are we going to talk about project? We've been doing products, and all that.
Okay, did you mention anything about project management today?
You were in the last class, right?
Yes,
That
I
was,
did. Now I was one of the people that complained about not we not talking about project management and all of that.
and that was addressed in the last class, and today as well. Okay, when you look through the videos, you would get that clear. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So, Vivian, any question?
No, sir, no question.
Deborah, any question? Kafilat, any question?
Not yet, sir.
None for now.
Ah, why are your questions pending and not yet ready? Hmm. Is there a specific time when you guys are going to unleash the Jaguar? You unleash all your powers. Please, when you want to unleash all your powers, at least let me know ahead of time so I would eat very well. Maybe I could just make use of that have me solution. Who talked about have me? I could just patronize that solution so I would eat properly. So so far we can just unmute and tell me what has your experience been like so far from the moment you joined, and if this is something you can um, tell someone else about. If the current field which you're learning is something you can talk to someone else about, oh, this is something you can prescribe that as a medicine for someone trying to get into tech. Just raise up your hand and you'd unmute and speak. Okay, Vivian, you can go ahead with it.
Okay, so far, I would say I will recommend it to anybody that wants to learn. But I have one small suggestion.
What's that?
Yeah, so for the portal, I'm suggesting we add more materials, not just the class recordings, like maybe something to read, YouTube links to go and learn more on, so that we can at least start practicing, because practice makes perfect. So with extra materials, we'll learn more and not just depend on only the live classes. So, but so far it has been highly recommended. So yeah.
Okay, okay. Nice one. Regarding the suggestion, I would say it's a personal decision. So I won't give you everything. So you know why I stopped that? How many of you read the mom's test notes I gave? Let's start with that first. How many of you read the mom's test I gave from week 1? None. So you see, why then do you need me to give out more materials when the one I gave you guys didn't look at it? Ah, thank you. Yeah, I'm still on it. Esther, you raised up your hand.
Yes, like I've started reading it.
Okay. Ah, 2 page. Ah, I watched the Bezos movie though. Okay. So well, Victoria, I might accept that to be true because I didn't even mention the Bezos. So for you remembering that, I accept that to be true. You actually watched it. So what did you actually get from that? Victoria?
Okay. So from the movie, I got to know that he kept identifying from the name. He started, the first name he gave was not the name he ended up with. So he kept identifying the major problem, what the main market, and all. That's just like a summary of my understanding. The core problem he wants to address, sorry, and the major markets he will be focusing on. So it deals more about problem identification and product discovery. Yeah. So it talks more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, nice one. That's true because it helps you understand building things to align with your users' interests at heart. You know, when it started off with relentless.com, which is Amazon that we
Yes.
all know today, relentless.com. And you're asking, why is it relentless.com? Why not this? Because he had a clear path that this is a solution that would thrive over the internet. So that's why it's having .com. Even till today, Amazon.com, telling you that it's an online marketplace. So
Also call
gradually
me
it's not,
Kadabra.
uh, okay, Cladabra, yeah. So you see,
Yeah.
you keep evolving as you get to understand what you're doing. As you begin to unfold your research, understanding things, you begin to see things differently and ways to get things done. So the mom's test, Adeboyejo, you that you've read the mom's test, what did you learn from it? What have you been able to grasp from it? What about you, Esther?
Ah, so I'm still reading it too.
What page are you?
Ah, chapter 1.
You are not reading it. You see, hey, you see, Nigerians. You are still reading it, and you are chapter 1 for the past 6 weeks. You see, what about you, Kafilat? What have you been able to understand from the mom's test? You said you've read 2 pages. So far, what are those 2 pages? What have you learned from those 2 pages?
Sir, I sure knew that it was about the manner in which you ask the question. If you ask the question in a particular way, because people don't want to. I think the mom does not want to disappoint you. They want you to feel good. Then they give you a positive response instead of being sincere with you. I didn't read more than 2 pages. In fact, I've forgotten about that book, but I will start it all over again.
Okay. So you see, I gave you guys resources that would help you shape the way you ask questions, the nature of questions, to understand when you're getting compliments, that false compliments from users, and when you're getting a genuine response from users. And you see, this is the thing. Most of you didn't even look through it. The Bezos actually helps you see, have a practical representation of what is, how Amazon came into existence. He's a product manager, even though he didn't play, he does not have that title. He's a product manager, identifying a problem and seeing through to it that this problem gets solved. You already know, okay, we want to solve this problem on the internet, with the use of the internet. Since internet was the order of the day, we need to solve this problem using the internet. And you have this whole videos about it, and you have so many product insightful videos which could help you understand what you're doing better. So I'm trying my best to drop other content aside the notes, but most times you guys don't follow up on it. I know you might be busy, but I won't say it's you being too busy, it's you just not prioritizing it. So that's the word I would say for everyone. Yeah. What about you, Chinyere? Deborah?
No, I haven't started it, but I actually archived the book. I'm coming back to it, so I haven't started yet.
Hey, Jesus Christ. You didn't even start anyone, you just had to keep it somewhere. So hey, I will the illustration that came to my mind now is just that one illustration in the Bible where a talent was given to some certain slaves and all that. The master gave 10 talents and 1 5 and all that. And the one given one actually went to a place to keep it safe. What if in the nearest future you encounter a problem that you would have solved if the solution was actually in that book? If you had read it, you would have solved that problem. But now you have to go through that problem and now start looking for ways to solve the problem, which you would have prevented if by reading the books. Then you now went and archived it for future use. Then tomorrow, when your files are full, you just go to your archive and flush everything out. Okay, nice one. What about you, Chinyere? Are you in this call, Chinyere? Okay. So That's the reason why I stopped dropping out resources and all that. So
Well,
you can speak, Chinyere.
Can I hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I said I haven't really gone through the material actually, but I just archived that initial part when we the additional time when we started, because I didn't even during that period I think it was during work period, yeah. So I just said okay, later we'll go through it, but thank you for bringing it up. We'll look at it this holiday or tomorrow.
Mhm. Okay. So you see, if you're talking about solving a problem around why people are not getting the most use of their time, how then do you solve this problem of procrastination? So for users now, when you have users like Deborah and Chinyere that archive their solution, how do you want to solve that? And Esther that says she is reading and she has just read just one page for the past 6 weeks, and she says she's reading, very confident in her response. I'm reading it. So you see, if I had not asked how many pages, just to understand better, how much you've read, I would have just gone with the fact that Esther is reading, and I would be very happy. She's reading, she's reading. But now me asking you how many pages have you read to understand the motive behind your response, that made me realize that you've not actually done anything. So these are what you asking real life questions to understand things from understand your users and the motive behind their responses. So you see, we're actually putting into practice what we've learned so far. So I would advise you guys to look through it. It would help you shape your the way you ask questions, not just as a product manager, but in life generally. You start seeing things differently from the way people are doing and what people are saying. So it's past 6 minutes past the actual time. It's happy new month once again to every one of you, and you'll have a wonderful evening. Yeah. What is happening now? Ah, ah. Sometimes will I send code now?